Evelynn rushed to work. She noticed a young woman holding a little girl on the steps to the building. "Can I help you?" Evelynn asked. The woman shuddered. "Do you work here?" she asked. "Yes, I'm a caregiver," Evelynn answered, sensing anxiety. The woman grabbed the girl, roughly gave her to Evelynn, and quickly left. Evelynn froze out of surprise. "Wait, what does this mean?" she screamed at the woman. "I have to do this. I have no choice. Please take care of her." The woman responded but didn't stop. Evelynn wanted to run after her, but she was holding a crying girl now. "Don't do this!" Evelynn screamed with a shaky voice. There was no response. "Can you at least tell me her name and age?" "Her name is Lauren, and she's 3, the woman yelled back and rounded the corner. So, Lauren ended up in an orphanage. Evelynn was shocked for a long time. She worked in an orphanage, so abandoned children weren't new to her, but just having a child thrusted onto her like that outside the building? The girl was terrified and cried a lot at first. She wanted her mom and didn't want to talk to anyone. Evelynn helped her adapt. She got really close to the girl and gave her attention whenever she could. Lauren also got close to her favorite caregiver. She knew she could go to Evelynn no matter what. Lauren had a friend there named Mary. They went to lessons together, played together, and trusted each other with their deepest, darkest secrets. After some time, Lauren started asking who her parents were and how she got there. Evelynn told her what happened that day. When she turned 18, she left the orphanage. She got a small apartment on the edge of town and started looking for a job. She was an excellent student but didn't have work experience. She dreamed of going to college when she got a little more independent. Lauren started selling flowers in a flower shop. The owner taught her all the details on how to make bouquets. She really liked her job and quickly got over her fears of experimenting with the flowers. One day, a young man, Aiden, came in. Lauren learned from their chat that he was buying flowers for his little sister's birthday. She noticed he was a very attentive and caring brother. They exchanged numbers, and he asked her to walk with him in the evening. After learning what flowers she liked, he met her after work with a huge bouquet. They began to date, and Lauren realized she was head over heels in love after a month. Aiden was surprised that Lauren was an orphan. "Why are you surprised? You think orphans are different from other kids?" she asked. "I thought it was always something you could tell by talking to someone." Lauren looked at him and raised her eyebrows. Aiden was her first man, and she was happy. After 6 months, he proposed, and she said yes. "It's time for you to meet my parents. Just don't mention that you're from an orphanage," he told her that evening. Lauren was surprised, but was blinded by love, so she didn't question it. Aiden's mother was very powerful. She commanded everyone in the family and didn't let anyone talk back. Aiden's sister didn't like Lauren. Before Aiden started dating Lauren, he would give his sister money to have fun, but that had stopped, and she wasn't happy about it. Aiden's mother organized the wedding, of course. She decided absolutely everything for them, and she required immediate reports from Lauren if she chose something for herself. Mary and Evelynn were the only people who came from Lauren's side to the wedding. They lived in different parts of the city, but they kept in touch. All the other guests were on the groom's side. Now, after the wedding, they moved into Aiden's apartment because it was bigger and in a better area. Everything was good at first. The only thing that upset Lauren was her mother-in-law's presence in their lives. She didn't have a problem with her in-laws, just that there was too much of them. She could show up at any time uninvited and constantly pestered Lauren with corrections on cooking and cleaning and what she bought. But what really upset her was that Aiden never spoke back and never stood up for her. They began to fight about it often. Lauren soon learned she was pregnant. Aiden was happy about the news. Lauren thought that now they would be parents and a full family. Their relationship would improve, and Aiden's mom would finally butt out of their lives. The pregnancy didn't have complications. However, the birth was difficult, and the baby was born with heart problems and a missing finger. Lauren named her son Brian. It was all over, and a happy Lauren was ready to leave. She was met by Aiden and his mother, of course. Imagine Lauren's surprise when her mother-in-law told Lauren to leave the baby and reject her parental rights. She said they didn't need an unwell baby that would have problems forever, and she'd have a different, healthy baby over time. Lauren was speechless. She looked at her husband and waited for him to finally say something like she was crazy, but he was silent. "Aiden, why aren't you talking? Your mom wants us to reject our son. Say something," she said anxiously. "Mom's right, it's not worth the trouble," he mumbled. Lauren didn't hold back and said how she felt about her husband and his mother. She finally spoke her mind. She said she would never abandon her child and that she never wanted to see them again, and asked them to leave. Brian grew up to be a wonderful boy. She never regretted her decision, even though it made life difficult. Brian needed medication because of his heart problems. Lauren had to get a second job. Brian needed surgery after he turned 7. She couldn't afford it. She got some money from Mary and her husband, some from Evelynn, and the rest from the bank. Mary told her to go to Aiden, but she refused. "He hasn't visited or called once in 7 years," she said. Mary secretly went to Aiden's family, but they stopped her at the door and said they had no grandchild. The surgery was successful, but the doctor said Brian would need another surgery later, closer to his 18th birthday. Years passed. Lauren kept working 2 jobs and had to pay for everything besides the medicine with credit. But she didn't complain. Evelynn called one day and asked her to come over. She said it was about her mother. Lauren couldn't wait until morning and took a taxi over. Evelynn told her that her mother was able to find her. They had met and talked. "Her name is Michelle. I won't tell you her story. You'll learn everything from her if you want to." Evelynn gave her the phone number. Lauren didn't blink. She wanted to meet her mother and find out why she was abandoned, but she was scared. Around lunchtime, she dialed the number and agreed to meet her mom. "I was 16 when I gave birth. Your father was just a year older and vanished when I got pregnant. I really loved you. My parents helped me with everything, of course. But then they passed in a car accident and I was alone with you. I was young, stupid, and dependent. I met a French guy at the time. I was so in love, but he said he absolutely did not want kids. I couldn't tell him I had a daughter, so I went to the orphanage and you know the rest. Then I moved with him to France," Michelle said. "So you left me to run off to France with some guy?" Lauren said angrily. "I'm sorry, I'm to blame, but believe me, life punished me for it." Michelle kept talking, but Lauren wasn't listening anymore. She rushed out crying. Brian got sick a few days later. His doctor said it was time for the surgery. But the cost of it shocked Lauren. She didn't even have a fraction of it. She was distraught. Mary suggested going to Michelle, who might be able to help, but Lauren didn't want to hear it. So Mary did it herself. She went and met the woman. She learned that Michelle had money and would happily help her grandson. Mary convinced Lauren to be smart and meet her again for her son. Lauren heard the rest of her story then. Michelle and the Frenchman had a son, but when he had grown up, he and her husband died in a car accident. "You don't have to forgive me. I understand, but let me help Brian," she said. The surgery went well. Brian came home soon after. Lauren got a little closer to her mother over that time and no longer felt pain or anger. She felt sorry for her. Michelle suggested they move to France with her, but Lauren said no. So she opened a new flower store for her daughter and put a good deal of money in an account for Brian. An expensive car drove up to a jewelry store. A well-dressed young man came out. He was helped by a woman who looked old enough to be his mother and another older one who was in charge. They couldn't take their eyes off him. "Is your name Brian, by any chance?" the old woman asked him. "That's right," he said, surprised. "Is your mother's name Lauren?" "You know my mom? I'm getting a gift for her." "I knew her once," she said and bit her lip. It was Aiden's mom and his younger sister. They recognized Brian because he looked exactly like his father. He picked out something gold and expensive and left. They watched him leave and stood in silence for a while. They had called him a problem and insisted on abandoning him. Now, he was handsome